Now that the Philadelphia 76ers have been eliminated from the postseason, heartbreaking loss last night, the summer now belongs to the Philadelphia Phillies, the fighting Phillies. We're going to talk about Odubel Herrera in this show. I called the show good with the bad, but, I should have called it great with the bad because that's how great Odubel Herrera has been lately. 39-game on-base streak. Remarkable stuff we're seeing right now. Tony Del Grasso is here. I am Adrian Fedke. Let's break it down. Odubel Herrera, baby.
Odubel Herrera, top 3 center fielder in baseball? Can we make that argument? I think we can make that argument. We're at the point where, all right, maybe top 3 might be stretching a little bit, but he's easily top 5, top 7. He's right now with Austin Scuffling, he's the best player in the Phillies, and it's not even that close.
Yeah, I'm with you right now. For right now. Maybe not by the end of the season, but right now. So let's take a look at these numbers, man. 39-game on-base hitting streak. So I've got some stats from 1950 on, the longest on-base hitting streak, or I shouldn't say hitting streaks, on-base streak for the franchise. So the most is 56 games by Mike Schmidt, 1981 to 82. Second, Bobby Abreu, 52 games from 2000 to 2001. Richie Ashburn with 44 back in 1953. Pete Rose, 41 in 1982. And then sitting in 5th, passing Jimmy Rollins today, is Odubel Herrera at 39. How about that?
I mean, that's incredible. Getting on base is the name of the game. The guys you just mentioned there are literally some of the best players the Phillies have had in franchise history. I know a lot of people disagree about me on Bobby Abreu, but Bobby Abreu was one of the most underrated players Phillies have ever had. He was actually incredible in his time in Philly. Was just on bad teams and always labeled as unclutch, but let's not get into Bobby. Herrera has just been absolutely incredible. He's walking more, he's striking out less, and he's hitting the ball with power, he's hitting the ball with average, and his defense. I mean, people forget, when the Phillies acquired him as a Rule 5 player, he wasn't even a center fielder. He was a middle infielder when they acquired him, who had basically never played outfield in his life. And he has turned himself into a legitimate all-star, legitimate Gold Glove caliber center fielder as well. So he's the real deal. He really is. Yeah,
and you hit the nail on the head there with his walk rates and his strikeout rate has gone down. So 22.4% of his plate appearances last year resulted in a strikeout. That's down to 15.1%. And then the walk rate's going up for everybody. That's a Gabe Kapler thing. That's a plate discipline thing. And you got to give a lot of credit to Gabe with that. So walks last year, 5.5% of the time. That's up to 9.6% this year. So Odubel Herrera, that eye at the plate, very, very disciplined. And you got to give credit to Kapler here because this Phillies team right now is sitting tied for first place in the division. They're not really hitting the ball that great, but they're getting on base, and they've been getting on base a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the original sabermetric thought, I guess you could kind of say, is that, hey, it's more important to get on base than it is to hit the ball. It's really not, that complicated. I don't want to quite call him a 5-tool player yet, because I'm not sure he has quite the power and quite the arm for a legit 5-tool player. But he's really close, and he's really good, and he's so versatile. You could hit him anywhere from 1 to 5 in the lineup, and that's pretty rare to find.
Yeah, and he's first right now in batting average. I think it's 353. He's second behind Tommy Pham. What up, Pham? In terms of on base percentage, he's like 420, I think it is. So happy 420 days to all the marijuana smokers out there. So Odubel Herrera, he's just doing it all right now, like you said, and this streak is just continuing and continuing and continuing. And I remember that guys like Ricky Bottalico would always bash Herrera because of his on-field antics and some of the stuff that he does. But when he's playing like this, man, come on, Ricky. Sometimes Ricky gets a little too much under my skin with some of the stuff that he says. And, I think Herrera's kind of making him look like an idiot right now.
Definitely. I mean, one of the things about some of the boneheaded plays that Herrera has made over the past couple years, the majority of them were actually because he was over hustling and he decided to try to take the extra base. And now I understand there were sometimes like a few weeks ago when he didn't slide into second base. That's inexcusable. I'm not going to try to defend that. But the biggest thing about that, after that happened, he went right to Rhys Hoskins, had a conversation, apologized, and Rhys Hoskins said, hey, man, you keep doing you keep playing with your flair, with your energy. Mistakes are going to happen. There is a lot more good out of Odubel Herrera than there is bad. So is he going to make a mistake every once in a while? Yeah, every guy is. His just get exemplified a lot more for whatever reason, just because people, he was the best player on a bad team a couple years ago. So every little mistake he made, was under the microscope. And now he's really turned into one of the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
When I say one of the best players, I'm not saying he's in the elite Mike Trout. No, but he's in the top, probably 30, 40, 50 players of baseball.
I mean, he was a Rule 5 guy,
Yeah.
and for him to do what he's doing right now, it's like it's obviously very reminiscent of what we saw out of Shane Victorino, if you remember, obviously. So, so you're looking at a second year where he's probably going to make an all-star team, Herrera. So his career arc, I mean, obviously, it's been very impressive here in Philadelphia so far.
Yeah, I remember when they gave him the extension they did a couple years ago, I was a little concerned because at that point he wasn't close to the player he is now. I thought they might have slightly overpaid for a guy who was basically a fourth outfielder. I have no concerns about that anymore. He's gotten dramatically better, and he's a guy who just needs to be in the lineup every single day, no matter where they put him. He's going to produce.
Yeah. All right, so that's kind of our Herrera talk, and the other thing we'll kind of get into real quickly, just kind of recap the past week here in Phillies baseball. We're going to try to do this every week through the Phillies show. So I think it's pretty impressive the fact that, not just because they swept the Giants, but it's how they responded to that Washington series and that obviously the finale of that 3-game set last week, the way that they lost, very disheartening, but to see them bounce back the way that they did. A 4-game sweep of the Giants. They're tied for first round right now, the NL East, with Atlanta.
Yeah, I wish we had a real Kapler hater we could talk to and invite on right now, or somebody who wanted him fired after that first game or that first series of this season. I wonder where their stance on that is now. Not to rub it in. Well, it'd be nice to rub it in a little bit, but just to kind of see where their head's at and understand that, hey, these guys are pretty good. This guy knows what he's talking about. They're ascending. They're definitely an ascending team right now.
Yeah. Yep. And, you, me, Kyle, we were remaining patient. And, some people, they gave us some shit. They said we didn't know anything about baseball, all that good stuff. Well, we're smiling right now. How about
Listen,
that?
I'm the first one to admit I know very little about anything on this earth, but I know a little bit about baseball. You can trust me on.
Yes, you do. I mean, I wouldn't have you on the show if you didn't. So there you go. Yeah, so like they've won four in a row. I believe they're at 22-15. Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
All right, so by percentage points, technically Atlanta is actually in first, but in terms of they're 7 games over 500. They are tied with Atlanta. All right, so let me see if I can bring up the chat real quick, and as I bring up the chat, I've been producing for the Trenton Thunder recently, and it was pretty cool because the Reading Phillies came into town. So everyone's cheering on the Thunder, and I'm sitting there like clapping for Reading. I love it.
Yeah. Just for the viewers, Trenton's Yankees affiliate, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Yankees affiliate. So that's at that station I'm at, 920 of the Jersey. All right. So in the chat, of course, we've got Sean Fitzpatrick, my man. So it's funny, Tony, because you brought up the fact, like, I don't want to say Sean Fitzpatrick is a Kapler hater. I wouldn't say he's a Kapler hater. I would say he's a still prove it to me Kapler guy. So he says, just in case you were in doubt, I'm still not drinking the Kapler Kool-Aid. And he feels like there's still too many strikeouts right now with the Phillies. So what are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts are, I don't want to say strikeouts are irrelevant, but striking out isn't nearly as bad as it used to be. And here's the thing I think we all can agree on when it comes to Major League managers.
Strikeouts are up throughout the league.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, April was the first month in the history of baseball that there was more strikeouts than there were hits. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I remember reading that stat.
Yeah, which is pretty incredible if you take a step back and think about it. But again, when it comes to managers, everyone knows X's and O's. Well, I mean, realistically speaking, you and I can make decisions when it comes to X's and O's in baseball. Baseball's not very complicated. It's about having respect for the manager and playing hard for him. And at this point, there's zero reason to believe that all 25 guys out there are not giving every effort every single night. And that's really the most important thing about him. And yeah, he's gonna do so. He's gonna continue to do some kooky things here and there. Although there hasn't been an incident in a couple weeks now, I guess you could say. But I'm still, from the moment they signed Kapler, I was ecstatic about him. I'm still very optimistic, and he's only going to get better. Let's forget he's 40 or 41 in his first big league managerial gig. So he's gonna get better. This team's gonna get better. They're probably gonna add talent at the deadline, and they're definitely gonna add talent this coming off season. So I think we're definitely seeing a changing of the guard in the National League East because Phillies, I guess you could say they're on schedule, maybe ahead of schedule. I think you could say the Braves are ahead of schedule. And I think Washington is this close to saying, you know what, we might have to just blow this up.
Yeah. Sean responds, put the ball in play, you put pressure on the opposition, no contact, no pressure on the opponent. Now, the counter to that is like, all right, sure, they're striking out a lot, but they're also walking a lot. So walking is the same thing as getting a single. So obviously you get one base. So I feel like, yeah, sure, they're striking out a lot, but their batting averages aren't high. They're getting on base. They're putting runners in scoring position. I mean, they're 22-15. So I like what I'm seeing.
I mean, yeah, I can't argue that. Obviously, putting the ball in play generally is better than striking out, unless there's guys on base and you hit into a double play.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, you want guys swinging and swinging with authority and swinging for power. You don't want a bunch of slap hitters. You don't want a bunch of Ben Revere's up there who are just praying for a single.
Yeah. All right. Dynasty 215 chimes in. He says, did you see Lehigh reach out to LeBron? The Lehigh Valley Iron Picks. Did you see this, Tony?
No.
All right. So they made a pitch, quote unquote, a pitch, pun intended. The Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. So their pitch to LeBron was, if you truly want to catch MJ, well, you got to play some minor league baseball. And that was the Twitter pitch to LeBron James today.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think we want to see that. See, the thing people forget is Jordan actually played some baseball growing up as a kid, and Jordan's dad was actually a baseball guy. A lot of people don't know that. Jordan's father was like a huge baseball guy. Didn't really care about. I don't think, as far as I know, LeBron ever played baseball. I know he was a really good football player in high school, but I'm pretty sure he's never actually played baseball before in his life. So that would probably be pretty embarrassing for him.
Yeah. Space Cowboy asks, what's the win streak at 4? It is at 4 right now. Sean's wondering where Kyle is. Kyle is at I believe he's at a rehearsal dinner. I think that's where he's at right now. He's wondering if he's in mourning after the Sixers loss. I think we're all in mourning this morning. So that was a tough one to take last night. Philly 0024 asked, I guess he comments, wouldn't be surprised if we go after Archer at trade deadline, plus his value kind of decreasing, so it should be easier to get him. Would you want Archer?
I mean, he's a guy I mentioned, I think, before opening day. We talked about this, how he's going to be a guy the Rays probably are going to try to trade, and I would certainly think the Phillies are interested. He's a guy who just he's a little older than I think people realize. He's like 28 or 29 already. But he's still right there in his prime. He just needs to cut down on his walks. If he could figure out just throwing strikes more, he could be an ace type pitcher. But right now, he's not. He's just a good, solid starter right now.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder. I shouldn't say I wonder. I think it's one of those things. He's playing in Tampa Bay. I just don't think he cares. I think it's, if you put him on a contender, I think he would pitch a lot better. Like that kind of happened with Justin Verlander. He got kind of complacent, and then once he went to Houston, look what he did. Not that I'm comparing Chris Archer to Verlander, but I'm comparing kind of the circumstances there. So he's I'm looking at his ERA, 5.32. I mean, that's really inflated even for him right now for Tampa. So and dude, you're right, 29 years old. I would have thought he was like 26, 27. So definitely a lot older than he's 29 already. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the thing about him, he has a really good fastball, and when his slider's on, it's one of the best in baseball. So theoretically, you could throw him in the bullpen and turn him into a monster reliever. Not saying the Rays are thinking that, but I'm sure other teams have thought that. And with the contract he has, I don't think that'd be terribly unreasonable. Because I think he's only making like $7 or $8 million a year for the next few years. They have him on a really team-friendly deal, so that's one of the reasons he's going to be so sought after come trade deadline.
Yeah. Dynasty comments again. We need a closer for sure, unless they make the move and put the new call up in that role. He definitely has the stuff to be a closer.
Yeah, Sir Anthony.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming he's talking about Sir Anthony Dominguez, and he was tremendous in his start against the Giants a couple days ago.
Yeah, he certainly has the stuff, and the thing about it, he seems to have Kapler's confidence too. I know maybe a week or so ago, before they called him up, Kapler actually went to one of his games in Reading. He's absolutely electric, and there's I definitely think the thought process is he's the closer of the future. And when I say the future, that could be as early as a few weeks from now with the way things are shaking out. He's electric.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Space Cowboy, can't wait to see the Mets on Mother's Day. That's going to be a fun series this weekend, that's for sure. And Philly 0024 asks, do you think we trade for a lefty in the next month or so?
Lefty pitcher, I'm assuming he's talking about?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, who's out there? That's the thing. I mean, these guys don't grow on trees. A lefty pitcher is kind of like, how a 7-footer in basketball used to be. If you back in the day in the NBA, when Matt Geiger was strolling the NBA, if you were 7 foot tall and could run in a straight line, you could play in the NBA for 10 years.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same way with a lefty pitcher. If you could throw 88, 90 plus and throw strikes and throw from the wrong hand, you're going to pitch for a long time. With that said, I don't know who's out there that they could acquire.
Yeah, that's something that we could look into for like a trade deadline show or something.
Yeah.
But like you make that point, and it just automatically makes me think of like what Andrew Miller, what you had to give up to get him. I mean, just what he can do out of that role, that fireman role, so to speak, that Cleveland used him for. Sean says, Kingery has disappointed me. Maybe the strain of playing different positions is affecting his hitting.
Well, I mean, we're almost 2 months into the season now, or a month and a half into the season. And there's a bit of a scouting report on him now. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, Kingery has never been a guy who's hit for a high average or had a really high on-base percentage either. He's been a guy who's hit home runs and stolen bases. So, if you thought he was going to hit 300 this year and have a 375 on base, that's not realistic. I mean, he's probably right now, and until he progresses more, he's probably more like a 260, 270 guy. But again, that comes with a lot of speed and a lot of power. And who knows what they're going to do with him and Caesar? Because at this point, Caesar is one of the best second basemen in all of baseball.
Yeah, Caesar salad, baby.
Yeah, and Franco's playing well too, so it's not like you could just bump Franco off third base and plug Kingery in. So Klentak definitely is going to have some decisions to make here.
Yep. All right, so that's pretty much it for the show. I was hoping to get 10 minutes. We got 20, so there you go. We got some commenters for this show. We got some questions. So, yeah, every week we're going to try and do this. Maybe we might even do this more than once a week, especially now that the Sixers are done. It's kind of slow with the Eagles right now, and this summer is for the Phillies. So they're a fun team to watch. I definitely recommend you watching them. Please watch them because they're awesome. So you got anything else you want to say?
Just for your Sixers fans out there, trust the process. Everything will be okay.
Yeah, we've reached the trust the progress point, not the process. So trust the progress. It takes time. I know a lot of people are disappointed that they lost to an undermanned Boston team, but I don't want to say this was expected, but I will say that in NBA history, you normally don't see teams this young without playoff experience make it to the NBA Finals. You normally have to take your licks and you learn from it. And Brett Brown hopefully will learn from it. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons hopefully will learn from it. Rocco might still be bad Rocco, but we'll see because we got bad Rocco all series long. We'll see if JJ Redick will be back. But for right now, hey, it's hitting season because it's getting hot. It's hitting season. It's Phillies season. And this team is really fun to watch. So that's Tony Del Grasso, a.k.a. Tony D. I'm Adrian Fedque. Take care and go Phillies, baby.
All right.